Don't cry, ma'am. The small voice cut through the evening air like a bell. You can borrow our dad to make you feel better. And us too. We're really good at making people smile. 35-year-old Dalton Collins froze mid-step, his heart dropping into his stomach as he watched his 6-year-old daughter Zuri stand fearlessly in front of a crying stranger. Her twin sister Zara was already moving to join her, their small hands clasped together with that determination they always had when they'd decided something important needed to happen. The woman on the bench looked up, tears streaming down her face, her expression shifting from despair to pure shock. Around them, Maple Grove Community Park glowed with Christmas lights, families laughing, children racing through displays, the scent of roasted chestnuts thick in the cold December air. But here, beneath this oak tree strung with white lights, sat one woman completely alone in a sea of celebration. And his daughters had just offered to lend her their father. "Zuri! Zara!" Dalton's voice came out strangled as he hurried forward. "Girls, wait!" But they weren't waiting. They never did when someone needed help. The question wasn't what his daughters had just done. The question was, what happened next? Before we continue, please tell us, where in the world are you tuning in from? We love seeing how far our stories travel. "I'm so sorry," Dalton gasped as he reached them, breath forming clouds in the December air. "Nobody should be sad and alone at Christmas," Zara interrupted, matter of fact, "so you can borrow us for a while." The woman wiped her face with trembling hands, late 20s, maybe early 30s, long blonde hair catching the light overhead, elegant even in grief. She looked at the identical girls, then at Dalton, and something softened. "That's very sweet of you both." Her voice was hoarse, fragile. "I'm Zuri, and this is Zara," Zuri announced, pointing to a tiny freckle near her left ear. "That's how people tell us apart." "I'm Dalton. Again, I apologize." "Phoebe," the woman interrupted softly, extending a cold hand. "Phoebe Shields. And please don't apologize. They're lovely." Before Dalton could respond, both girls climbed onto the bench beside Phoebe, each taking one of her hands. "See? We're excellent at this," Zuri declared. "Sometimes people just need someone to sit with them." Phoebe stared at the small hands holding hers, then let out a breath that was half laugh, half sob. "You're very perceptive." Dalton stood awkwardly, recognizing the rawness of her pain. He'd worn that same expression 3 years ago, when the world stopped making sense and every breath felt like drowning. "We were going to get hot chocolate," Zuri continued, swinging Phoebe's hand gently. "You should come." "I don't want to intrude." "You're not," Dalton found himself saying. "Besides, I learned long ago not to argue when they team up." The smile that touched Phoebe's lips was small but genuine. "Then, thank you. I'd like that." The Copper Kettle Cafe welcomed them with cinnamon-scented warmth. Mrs. Corey, the owner, looked up as they entered, curiosity sparking when she saw Phoebe. "Dalton, girls, for tonight?" The twins were already pulling Phoebe toward their corner booth, claiming window seats to watch the snow beginning to fall. Mrs. Corey brought hot chocolate topped with whipped cream mountains and candy cane stirs. Before leaving, Zuri spoke up. "Mrs. Corey, this is our new friend Phoebe. We found her at the park, and she was sad, so we're making her feel better."
Dalton wanted to sink through the floor, but Mrs. Corey just smiled warmly. "Then you're in excellent hands, dear." Silence settled as the twins attacked their hot chocolate. Dalton felt the weight of the situation. What did you say to a stranger you just met in crisis? Phoebe spoke first. "You have beautiful daughters." "Thank you." The words came out heavier than intended, weighted with 3 years of being everything to them. "They're my world." Phoebe's eyes met his, and something flickered there. Recognition, understanding. "I can see that." "Why were you crying, Miss Phoebe?" Zara asked suddenly, whipped cream on her nose. "Did someone hurt your feelings?" "Zara," Dalton started. "It's okay." Phoebe looked at the little girl carefully. "I was sad because Christmas makes me remember people I miss very much." "Like people who died?" Zuri asked with brutal childhood honesty. Dalton's stomach dropped. "Girls?" "Yes," Phoebe said quietly, "like people who died." Both twins nodded solemnly. Zara reached across the table and patted Phoebe's hand. "Our mommy died too. We were 3. We don't remember her much, but Daddy says she's in heaven." The air seemed to leave the cafe. Dalton sat frozen, stunned his daughters had shared something he usually kept private. But Phoebe's eyes filled with tears, not sad ones, but something softer. "I'm so sorry. That must have been incredibly hard." "It was," Dalton said, his voice rough. He didn't usually talk about this, but something about Phoebe's openness made the walls seem pointless. "I lost my family too," Phoebe said suddenly, looking at the twins. "My parents and my brother and sister, all at once, 7 years ago. A car accident." "All of them?" Zuri's eyes went wide. "At the same time?" Phoebe nodded, holding back the tear that threatened to escape. "You must be very lonely," Zara said, her voice trembling. Then, without warning, she scrambled out of her seat and wrapped her small arms around Phoebe's waist. Zuri quickly followed, sandwiching Phoebe from the other side. "We know about lonely. Daddy gets lonely sometimes too." Phoebe held both girls close, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. For a long moment, no one spoke. They just sat there, 2 grieving children and 1 grieving woman, holding each other while Christmas music played softly overhead. When Phoebe finally pulled back, she wiped her eyes and laughed shakily. "I'm sorry, I'm so emotional." "Daddy says feelings aren't wrong," Zuri informed her. "They just are." "Your daddy is very wise," Phoebe said, looking at Dalton with wonder. The conversation shifted then, the walls down. They weren't strangers anymore. They were people who understood loss. "What do you do?" Dalton asked. "I own a hair care company, natural products, sustainable practices. Started it 5 years ago, 2 years after I lost my family." She paused. "It kept me busy, maybe too busy. I threw myself into work because if I was working, I didn't have to think about how empty my apartment was, how there was no one to call when something good happened." "I understand that," Dalton said softly. "After Melissa died, work became my safe place. Engineering problems have solutions. Grief doesn't." "Exactly. People kept telling me time would heal it, but they were wrong. Time just makes you better at pretending." "Until you're sitting alone on a park bench on Christmas Eve," Dalton said. "Until 2 little girls decide you need rescuing," Phoebe corrected with a small smile. Zara looked up. "Are you going to be alone tomorrow too, on Christmas?" The question hung heavy. Phoebe's smile faltered. "Yes, sweetie." "What do you do?" "I work, mostly, or watch movies. Try not to think about—" She stopped, swallowing hard. "I try to get through the day." "That's not Christmas," Zara declared. "Christmas is supposed to have people." Dalton watched Phoebe's face crumble slightly, watched her fight to hold together, and something in him shifted. But Zuri beat him to it. "You should come to our house tomorrow. We have presents, and Daddy makes snowman pancakes, and we watch movies. Right, Daddy?" Dalton met Phoebe's eyes across the table. He saw hope there, mixed with fear and uncertainty. A woman who'd been alone for 7 years being offered a lifeline. "They're right," he heard himself saying. "You shouldn't be alone tomorrow. Nothing fancy, just pancakes and chaos, but there'll be laughter, and you'd be very welcome." "I couldn't impose." Her voice cracked. "You're not imposing. You'd be doing us a favor. The girls will be thrilled, and honestly—" He paused. "It would be nice to have another adult around, someone who understands that Christmas can be beautiful and hard at the same time." Phoebe looked at the twins, then back at Dalton. "Are you sure? We know you've been through loss. We know you're brave enough to sit in a park full of happy families even when it hurts. We know you're kind enough to let 2 strange children tell you about their dead mother without running away. That's enough." A genuine smile spread across Phoebe's face. "Then, yes, thank you. I'd love to." The twins erupted in cheers. Phoebe arrived at 10 Shap, standing on the porch with wrapped presents and an uncertain smile. She'd changed 3 times that morning, finally settling on jeans and a cream sweater. Dalton opened the door, and for a moment they just stared. In the warm morning light, he really saw her, and she was beautiful. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi. Fair warning, it's complete mayhem in here." Twin tornadoes hit her full speed. "Miss Phoebe, you came!" "Of course I came," Phoebe laughed, dropping to her knees to hug them. "I wouldn't miss this." "Santa came," Zuri grabbed her hand. "He ate all the cookies and left so many presents, and we waited for you because Daddy said we couldn't start without you." Zara interrupted. Phoebe looked up at Dalton. You waited for me? They insisted. Apparently Christmas isn't complete without you. The living room was beautifully chaotic. The tree leaned slightly left, covered in mismatched ornaments spanning years, handmade preschool ones, delicate glass ones that must have been Melissa's, new ones the girls had picked. Mountains of presents spilled underneath. This is lovely, Phoebe whispered. It's chaos, Dalton corrected, but it's our chaos. I brought presents, Phoebe announced, pulling out 2 silver packages. You didn't have to. I wanted to. She handed him a smaller package, their fingers brushing. For you. Open it later. The twins attacked the present pile with wild abandon. Paper flew, squeals echoed. Dalton sat on the couch with his coffee, Phoebe beside him, both watching the beautiful disaster unfold. When the twins opened Phoebe's gifts, professional watercolor sets with dozens of colors, thick artists' sketchbooks, real brushes, they went silent. Then Zuri whispered, These are like real artist supplies. Because you're real artists, Phoebe said seriously. I saw your drawings last night. You have talent. Both girls launched themselves at her, tears in their eyes. Thank you, Miss Phoebe. Dalton felt his throat tighten. Melissa had always been the thoughtful gift-giver, but Phoebe had seen something in his daughters in a single evening and honored it. Now you have to open yours, Zara demanded. Inside was a handmade card, construction paper covered in glitter. On the front, Welcome to our family. Inside, they'd drawn stick figures, 3 being joined by a 4th with blonde hair. Underneath, Dear Miss Phoebe, thank you for being sad in the park so we could find you. Love, Zara and Zuri. Phoebe pressed the card to her chest, tears streaming. This is the most beautiful thing anyone's ever given me. Really? Zara looked skeptical. It's just paper. No, Phoebe said firmly, pulling them close. It's perfect. After breakfast, snowman pancakes that Phoebe hilariously failed to flip, sending one across the kitchen, they settled in the living room. The twins started experimenting with their new paints, and Phoebe sat on the floor with them, showing them how to mix colors, create washes, blend shades. Dalton sat on the couch, supposedly reading, actually watching them. His daughters laughing with pure joy. This woman who'd been crying alone 24 hours ago, now making his children glow with happiness. She fit here, in his messy house with syrup on the table. She fit like she'd always been meant to. During the Polar Express that afternoon, both girls fell asleep with their heads on Phoebe's lap. They're out, whispered Dalton. They had a big day. Phoebe gently stroked Zuri's hair. This was the best Christmas I've had in 7 years. Yeah? Yeah. She looked at him over the sleeping children. Thank you for letting me be part of it. Thank you for being here, for being so good with them, for not running away when they brought up Melissa, for sharing about your sister. Phoebe's eyes filled. They make it easy. They're remarkable. They really are. When it was time for Phoebe to leave, the twins woke and immediately protested. Do you have to go? I'm afraid so. But Phoebe looked Dalton questioningly. Coffee on Saturday? He suggested. Can we paint more? Zuri asked. Absolutely, Phoebe promised. At the door, the twins hugged her fiercely. We love you, Miss Phoebe, Zara said simply. Phoebe's breath caught. She knelt to their level. I love you too, both of you, so much. Outside, Dalton walked Phoebe to her car. The night was cold and clear, stars sharp overhead. I meant it, Phoebe said softly. This was the best Christmas I've had since I lost them. I forgot what it felt like to belong somewhere. You belong here, Dalton said, the words coming from somewhere deep and true. With us, if you want to. I want to, Phoebe whispered, more than anything. They stood there, breath fogging in the cold, something unspoken building between them. Saturday? Saturday. I'll be there. Saturday coffee became sacred. The twins would paint while Dalton and Phoebe talked about everything. Books, work frustrations, childhood memories. Slowly, carefully, they built something beautiful. Spring arrived with the twins' 7th birthday, cake and presents and Phoebe's genuine excitement. Watching her laugh with the girls, Dalton realized how seamlessly she'd woven into their lives.
One rainy morning, while the twins colored, Phoebe said softly, "Today's my sister's birthday. Sophie would have been 19. Dalton set down his coffee. What was she like? A real smile touched Phoebe's lips. Stubborn. She wanted to be a marine biologist, watched shark documentaries, and lectured us about ocean conservation. She was 12 and already knew exactly who she'd be. She sounds amazing. She was. Phoebe's voice cracked. Sometimes I'm terrified I'm forgetting her. Not the big things, but the small ones. How she snorted when she laughed, the sound of her voice. Dalton reached across the table, covering her hand with his. You're not forgetting her. You're just learning to carry her differently. Phoebe turned her hand over, lacing her fingers through his. Neither let go. It was the first time they'd held hands. It felt monumental. As spring melted into summer, their relationship deepened. Weekend outings to botanical gardens where Phoebe taught the twins to really see flowers, to capture beauty with their watercolors. Dalton found himself watching her more than the scenery. The way she laughed with her whole body, the way she got on her knees to see things from the twins' perspective, the way she listened like their words mattered.
One perfect Saturday at the beach, warm sand, sparkling water, the girls' delighted squeals. After they'd built an elaborate sandcastle and the twins ran off to hunt shells, Dalton reached for Phoebe's hand. She looked at him, surprised by the sudden seriousness in his expression. "I need to tell you something," he said, voice rough, "and I can't keep it in anymore." Phoebe's breath caught. "Okay? These past 6 months have been—" He paused, searching for words. "I haven't felt this alive since before Melissa died. Maybe ever. And I keep telling myself we're taking it slow, that we're just friends, but I can't pretend anymore." He squeezed her hand. "I'm in love with you, Phoebe. Completely. Terrifyingly. I love you." The color drained from Phoebe's face. She pulled her hand back, wrapping her arms around herself. "Dalton, You don't have to say it back," he said quickly. "I just needed you to know. I needed to be honest about what this is for me." "It's not that I don't—" Her voice cracked. "What if I'm not enough? What if I can't be what you need, what those girls need? I've never been a mother. I don't know how to do this. What if I mess everything up?" Dalton cupped her face gently, making her meet his eyes. "You already are enough. You show up. You care. You love them in your own way. That's all any of us can do." "But what if it's not? What if—" He kissed her then, soft and tentative, cutting off her spiral of fear. When they pulled apart, Phoebe was crying, but she was also smiling. "I love you too," she whispered, the words tumbling out like a confession. "I'm so scared, but I love you. I love you so much." "Really?" "Really." They kissed again, longer this time. 6 months of careful friendship transforming. "Daddy and Miss Phoebe are kissing!" Zuri's voice rang across the beach.
They broke apart, laughing, to find both twins grinning. "About time," Zara declared. "We've been waiting forever." The next few weeks should have been blissful. They'd confessed their love, kissed on the beach, and the twins were thrilled. Everything should have been perfect. But Phoebe started pulling away. It was subtle at first. She'd respond to texts a little slower, cancel Saturday coffee once because of a work emergency, show up to dinner looking exhausted and distracted. Within a few weeks, Dalton couldn't ignore it anymore. "You're working late again tonight?" he asked when she called to cancel their evening plans. "I'm sorry, there's this launch deadline and the team needs me." "The team always needs you, Phoebe. You're the boss. You could delegate." Silence on the other end. Then, quietly, "That's not fair." "Isn't it? You've canceled 4 times in 2 weeks. The girls keep asking when you're coming over. I keep making excuses for you." "I'm not making excuses. I'm running a business." "I know that," Dalton interrupted, frustration bleeding into his voice. "But this is what you do. When things get real or scary, you disappear into work. You did it after you lost your family, and you're doing it now." "That's not—" Phoebe stopped. "I'm not disappearing. Then what are you doing? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you told me you loved me and then ran away." The silence stretched so long Dalton thought she'd hung up. Then he heard her crying. "I can't do this," she whispered. His anger dissolved immediately. Can't do what?
Last week, Zuri scraped her knee at the park. Just a little scrape. And I froze, Dalton. I completely froze. Because I didn't know if I should put a bandage on it or clean it first or... Your voice cracked. A 7-year-old falls down and I panic. What happens when it's something bigger? When they're sick or hurt or need real help? Phoebe. And yesterday, Zara asked me to help with her math homework and I got the answer wrong. Wrong. She trusted me to help and I let her down over simple addition. How am I supposed to... She broke off, sobbing. I'm in over my head. You're not, Dalton said gently. You're learning, just like I did, just like every parent does. But I'm not their parent, that's the problem. I'm playing house, and it was fine when it was art supplies and hot chocolate, but now they're actually depending on me, and I keep messing up. One wrong math problem isn't messing up. It's not about the math, Phoebe's voice rose. It's about the fact that I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm terrified that one day you'll wake up and realize you need someone who actually knows how to be a mother, not someone who's just trying to figure it out as she goes. Then let me be clear, Dalton said firmly. I don't need someone who has it all figured out. I need you. Messy, imperfect, scared you. That's enough. Silence. Then quietly, what if it's not? Come over this weekend. Talk to me face to face instead of hiding behind work. Let us prove to you that you're already doing better than you think. Another long pause. Okay, Saturday. Promise? I promise. That Saturday, Phoebe arrived looking like she hadn't slept in days. The twins were at a play date. They sat on his back porch, summer heat thick around them. I'm sorry, Phoebe said immediately, for pulling away. You were right. I was hiding. Why? Because this is real now. You love me. I love you. The girls are attached, and that means I could actually hurt them if I mess up. I lost everyone I loved, Dalton. Everyone. And the thought of building a family again, of letting myself need people. What if I lose you too? I can't survive that twice. Dalton reached for her hand. You think I'm not scared? Every time you drive away, there's this moment where I panic, where I think about Melissa leaving for errands and never coming home. I'm terrified of losing you. Then why are you pushing for this? Because the alternative is worse. Staying safe and alone isn't really living. I did that for 3 years. I was a good dad, but a shell of a person. Then you came along and reminded me what it felt like to actually feel something. I'm just so afraid of failing you, of failing them. You won't. And even if you make mistakes, because you will, we'll figure it out together. That's what family does. Phoebe looked at him, really looked. You really believe that? I really do. She took a shaky breath. Okay, I'll try. I'll stop hiding. I'll show up. That's all I'm asking. She leaned into him and he held her while she cried out years of fear. When the twins came home later, bursting with stories, Phoebe was still there, and this time she didn't make excuses to leave. Things stabilized. Phoebe stopped canceling. She showed up even when tired, even when work was stressful. She was learning to trust. Summer turned to fall. The twins started first grade, new teachers, new classmates, new dynamics. Until 3 weeks in, they came home with blotchy faces, clearly having cried. What happened? Dalton asked, kneeling. Zara's lip trembled. Madison said we don't have a real family. What?
She said because we don't have a mommy, we're not real, Zuri added, voice breaking. And when we said we have daddy, she said that's not the same. Dalton's heart broke. Girls, that's not true. But she's right, Zara sobbed. We don't have a mommy. Everyone else does. He held them while they cried, rage burning at a 7-year-old bully who'd ripped open old wounds. That evening, Phoebe came over as planned. The twins were subdued, picking at their food. You okay, girls? Phoebe asked gently. Someone at school was mean, Dalton explained carefully, said hurtful things about them not having a mother. Phoebe's face fell. Oh, sweethearts. Then Zara looked up, tear-filled eyes meeting Phoebe's. Are you trying to be our new mommy? The question hung like a grenade. What? Phoebe went pale. Because you can't, Zuri said, voice rising. We already have a mommy. She's in heaven. You can't replace her.
I would never. But you're here all the time, Zara's voice broke. And Daddy loves you, and we love you, but you're not our real mommy. Madison was right. We don't have a real family because our mommy is gone, and you're just pretending. The words came from deep hurt, from bullying, confusion, grief for a mother they barely remembered. All the emotions they'd held in since that awful day at school came pouring out, misdirected at the person who'd become safe enough to receive them. Both girls dissolved into hysterical tears. Dalton tried to calm them, but they were inconsolable. Finally, he had to take them to their room, leaving Phoebe sitting frozen. When he came back, she was crying silently, hands shaking. "I should go," she whispered. "Phoebe, they didn't mean." "Yes, they did. And maybe they're right. Maybe I'm making it worse by being here. They're confused about what I am to them, and that's my fault." "You're not making anything worse. I need to go. I need to think." Her voice broke. "I'm sorry." She left before he could stop her.
For 3 days, Phoebe didn't answer calls or texts. The twins were miserable, crying at random moments, asking where Miss Phoebe was. Then Zara came to him, eyes red and puffy. "We made her leave, didn't we?" "No, sweetie." "But we hurt her feelings," Zuri sobbed, joining them. "We didn't mean to. We love Miss Phoebe. We just got confused and scared. Madison said those mean things, and we got all mixed up inside." "We don't think she's pretending," Zara said desperately. "We don't think she's trying to replace Mommy. We were just scared." "Can we tell her we're sorry?" Zuri asked, voice breaking. "Can we ask her to come back? Please, Daddy, we miss her." That night, Dalton called Phoebe. She finally answered. "The girls want to talk to you. They're devastated. They've been crying for 3 days. They want to apologize. They miss you. I miss you. Please don't run from this." Silence. Then softly, "Do they really want me back?" "They really do. They love you. They're 7 and processing big emotions. That girl at school hurt them, and they misdirected all that pain at you because you're safe, because deep down they know you won't abandon them even when they lash out." More silence. "Okay, I'll come tomorrow. But Dalton, we need to talk, all of us, about what this is and what I can be to them. Tomorrow, we'll figure it out together." The next afternoon, Phoebe arrived. The moment she stepped through the door, the twins ran to her. "We're so sorry, Miss Phoebe," they cried. "We didn't mean it. Please don't go away." Phoebe knelt, pulling them close, tears streaming. "I'm sorry too. I shouldn't have left like that." "We love you," Zara sobbed. "We were just scared and confused. Madison said mean things, and we got all mixed up inside. We don't think you're trying to replace Mommy. We love you being here. We love you." "I know, babies. I know." Phoebe held them tighter. "I love you too, so much." After they'd calmed, Phoebe suggested they sit together. She took a deep breath. "I want to talk about something important, okay?" They nodded, anxious. "First, I want you to know I understand where those words came from. You were hurting. Someone said cruel things, and you were processing really big feelings. I'm not angry. I could never be angry with you for being honest." "Really?" Zara's voice was small. "Really? But I need you to understand something too." She paused carefully. "I love you both very much, and I love your daddy, but I can never be your mommy." The twins' faces fell, and Phoebe quickly continued. "Your mommy was special and wonderful, and she loved you more than anything. No one could ever replace her. No one should even try. She will always, always be your mommy. Do you understand?" Both nodded slowly. "Then what are you?" Zuri asked, trembling. Phoebe smiled gently. "I'm someone who loves you, someone who wants to be part of your life, not as your mommy, but as me, as Phoebe, someone who's choosing to be here, to care for you, to show up every single day." "Like extra love?" Zara said slowly. "Exactly like extra love. You can love me and love your mommy at the same time. Your hearts are big enough for both. Loving me doesn't mean forgetting her. It just means more love." "And you won't try to make us forget her?" Zuri asked anxiously. "Never. We can talk about her whenever you want. Look at pictures, share memories. Your mommy is part of your story, and that's beautiful."
Both girls were quiet,
processing. Then Zara asked, "But what do we call you if you're not our mommy?" "Whatever feels right. Miss Phoebe is perfect, or just Phoebe. There's no rush to figure it out." The twins looked at each other, having one of their silent conversations. Then they nodded. "Okay," Zara said, stronger now. "You're our Phoebe." "Our extra love," Zuri added, managing a smile. Phoebe's eyes filled with happy tears. "I like that, very much." She opened her arms and both girls crashed into her. Over their heads she met Dalton's eyes. The relief and love there made his chest ache. They would be okay. The conversation didn't fix everything immediately. There were still hard moments over the next months, still confusion, occasional tears, but they were navigating it together. Phoebe was careful. She didn't push. She let the girls set the pace, and slowly trust rebuilt stronger than before. Spring arrived. One evening Dalton found a permission slip buried in Zara's backpack, Mother's Day tea at school. "Why didn't you give this to me?" he asked gently. Zara shrugged, not meeting his eyes. "Because I don't have anyone to bring. Everyone else will have their real mom." Dalton started to suggest alternatives, but Zara suddenly looked up. "Could I ask Phoebe?" Dalton blinked. "You want to ask Phoebe?" "She's not my mommy," Zara said carefully, "but she's our Phoebe, our extra love, and I think I'd like her to be there, if she wants to." Dalton's throat tightened. "I think she'd love that, sweetie." When they asked, Phoebe cried. "You really want me there?" "Yes," Zara said firmly. "You're important to us, and I don't want to be the only one without someone who loves me there." "Oh, sweetheart," Phoebe pulled her close. "Then I'd be honored."
The Mother's Day tea was everything. Phoebe arrived nervous but determined. Zara grabbed her hand the moment she walked in. "You came." "Of course I came." They sat at tiny tables, drinking weak tea. Zara showed Phoebe the card she'd made, stick figures holding hands with "Thank you for being my extra love" written in crayon. Phoebe pressed it to her chest, tears streaming. "This is the most beautiful thing anyone's ever given me." Around them, other mothers chatted, biological mothers who'd never known loss. And there was Phoebe, who'd lost everyone, cherishing this like the precious gift it was. Leaving, Zara held Phoebe's hand tightly. "I'm really glad you came." "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." In the car, Dalton caught Phoebe's eye in the rearview mirror. What he saw there, the love, the gratitude, the belonging, made his decision firm. It was time. The next week, Dalton went ring shopping with two opinionated 7-year-olds. "It needs to be sparkly," Zuri declared. "But not too sparkly," Zara corrected. "Phoebe likes simple things." They saddled on a sapphire, surrounded by small diamonds. Sapphire like the sky the day they'd kissed, diamonds like the park lights where it began. "She's going to love it," Zara breathed. "She's going to say yes, right?" Zuri asked nervously. "I hope so, baby." "She will," both girls said with certainty. They planned it for Christmas Eve, exactly 2 years after the night that changed everything. Back to the park, back to their bench, back to where hope began. Walking through the displays that evening, the twins could barely contain their excitement, giggling and whispering, shooting meaningful looks Phoebe didn't understand. Dalton had the ring box in his pocket and his daughter's hands in his. He'd never been more nervous. They found the bench beneath the oak tree. Phoebe sat down, pulling the twins close. 2 years ago tonight, she said softly, I was sitting right here, completely broken. And we found you, Zuri announced. You did. You saved my life that night. The twins exchanged a look, then stood together. We have a question to ask you, Zara said seriously. Before Phoebe could respond, Dalton knelt in the snow beside the bench. Her eyes went wide, hand flying to her mouth. 2 years ago, Dalton began, voice shaking, my daughters offered to lend you their father. He pulled out the ring box, revealing the sapphire sparkling in the lights. Tonight, we're asking if you'd like to keep him. Keep us. Permanently. The twins moved closer, one on each side, completing the picture. A family asking to become official. Will you marry me, Phoebe? Will you be my wife? Will you choose this messy, imperfect, beautiful family and let us choose you right back?" Phoebe nodded frantically, tears streaming. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." The twins shrieked with joy, throwing their arms around her. Dalton stood, slipping the ring onto her finger with trembling hands, and then all four were wrapped in each other's arms. Around them, a crowd had gathered, including Mrs. Corey with her camera. The applause washed over them. "We're going to be a real family now," Zuri exclaimed. "We already are a real family," Phoebe said, voice thick with emotion. "We have been for a long time." Dalton pulled her close, kissing her as the twins bounced and the crowd cheered and the Christmas lights twinkled. "I never thought I'd have this again. A family. People who love me. A place to belong. You always had a place to belong. Right here, with us." Behind them, Mrs. Corey tied a small brass plaque to the bench. "Here, hope begins again." The wedding was in spring, small and perfect. The twins were flower girls, beaming in matching dresses. When the officiant asked, "Who gives this woman?" the twins spoke together. "We do, because she chose us and we choose her." There wasn't a dry eye in the venue. Life settled into a beautiful rhythm. Phoebe moved in, her things blending with theirs. The twins called her Phoebe, and she called them her girls, and it worked. They talked about Melissa often. The girls would ask questions, share memories, look at pictures, and Phoebe would sit with them, honoring their mother's memory, because she understood. She carried her own family in her heart, too. The twins thrived. They painted and played and grew, and through it all, they had two parents who loved them fiercely. 2 years after the wedding, on a perfect Saturday morning in late spring, Phoebe woke to the smell of burning pancakes. She sat up in bed smiling as she heard giggling from downstairs and Dalton's voice saying, "No, no, we can save it. Just scrape out the black parts." Her birthday. She'd almost forgotten. When she came downstairs in her robe, the kitchen was chaos. Dalton stood at the stove looking frazzled, flour in his hair. The twins were at the table, surrounded by art supplies and what appeared to be glitter everywhere. "Surprise!" they all shouted when they saw her. "We made you birthday pancakes," Zuri announced proudly. "They're a little crispy," Zara admitted, "but crispy is just extra crunchy." Phoebe laughed, pulling them all into hugs. "I love extra crunchy pancakes." They ate breakfast together, slightly burnt pancakes drowning in syrup, fresh strawberries, too much whipped cream. The twins chattered about their plans for the day, about the super special surprise they had for her later. After breakfast, they presented her with handmade cards. Zuri's had a drawing of all 4 of them holding hands in front of their house, hearts floating overhead. Zara's showed a family tree with branches labeled Mommy in Heaven, Daddy, Zara, Zuri, and at the top, in careful letters, Mom, with an arrow pointing to a stick figure that was clearly Phoebe. Phoebe's breath caught. "Do you like it?" Zara asked anxiously. Phoebe couldn't speak. She just nodded, tears streaming. "We wanted to tell you something," Zuri said, suddenly serious. Both twins looked at each other, then at Dalton, who nodded encouragingly. They stood together holding hands. "You're our mom now," Zara said simply. "Not instead of our first mommy, but you're our mom too." "Our here mom," Zuri added, "the one who shows up every day." "We love you, Mom," they said together. The word hung in the air. Mom. Phoebe dropped to her knees, pulling both girls into her arms, sobbing. "Thank you," she choked out. "Thank you for choosing me." "Is it okay," Zara asked, "that we call you Mom?" "It's everything," Phoebe whispered. "You're everything." Dalton knelt beside them, wrapping his arms around all 3 of his girls. 4 people who'd all known loss, who'd found each other in the wreckage and built something beautiful. "Best birthday ever?" he asked softly. "Best birthday ever," Phoebe confirmed. Zuri pulled back, looking at Phoebe seriously. "Do you think our mommy in heaven is happy that we have you?" Phoebe touched her cheek gently. "I think she's very grateful you have someone here who loves you as much as she did." "We love you, Mom," Zara said again, testing out the word with a smile. "I love you too, baby," Phoebe replied. "Both of you. So much." Outside, the spring evening faded into night.
Inside, warmth and love, and the quiet peace of knowing exactly where you belonged. Hope had begun again on that park bench 4.5 years ago, when 2 little girls decided a crying stranger needed rescuing. And it would continue, forever and always, in this home, with this family, with these 4 hearts that had chosen each other. If this story touched your heart the way it touched mine, please don't let it end here. Let it remind you, kindness still matters, compassion still changes lives, and hope is never wasted. Subscribe and be part of our Soul Lift Stories family, where every story lifts the spirit and reminds us that light always finds its way back. And if this moment moved you, share it, because sometimes sharing hope is the kindest thing we can do.